For those of you that are new here, this is an AI weekly roundup of all the news and podcast content, audio, video, news, and everything that I've consumed. The reason I'm doing this is I'm trying to stay on top of AI, and the fast changing pace of it makes it hard for our team to stay on top of it as well. So I've used an AI automation to put all this together. This is a script that I'm reading for the first time, and because I'm sharing this with the team, I might as well share this with you guys. I haven't read this before, and as I'm having my coffee, I'll do a recap and remember what happened in the past week. So let's go. Hey friends, here's everything that caught my eye in AI and tech this week. We've got groundbreaking advances in AI browsing, massive updates from big players like Grok and Gemini, and the rise of agent-driven applications, and a deep dive into context engineering. Lots to unpack, so let's dive in. So context engineering is the more preferred term I think that people are seeing compared to prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is just your basic thing, but context engineering is what people are moving towards. It makes more sense because you need to give the AI systems context to be able to do what they need to do well. Grok 4, a massive leap in AI reasoning capabilities. One of the week's biggest stories was undoubtedly the launch of Grok 4 by Elon Musk's AI. I watched multiple videos showcasing its profound advances in reasoning and multimodal capabilities. Grok 4 not only scored perfect SAT marks, but also conquered brutal benchmarks like humanity's last exam and the ARC AGI test. What really fascinated me were Grok's real-world demonstrations predicting World Series outcomes, managing a virtual vending machine's logistics nightmare, and visualizing incredible scientific phenomena like black holes colliding, pure science fiction stuff. Then we saw Claude doing that vending machine test a couple weeks ago. It only made a profit, I think, of $860. Grok made a profit, I think, of $2,000 or $4,000, so miles ahead in that specific test. The test called Humanity's Last Exam is an exam where it will take multiple PhD experts in a specific field to answer a question, and it aced every single question. Apparently they ran out of questions to be able to test how smart Grok 4 was. And looking against it, it's a giant leap. The way it's been working is it's multiple agents researching different solutions, comparing notes with each other, and at the end they then combine and then pick the best one and then present that as an actual option. And that's like a team of multiple experts doing stuff. So it's working really well. However, as impressive as Grok 4 was, the industry reactions were mixed, calling out potential biases leaning towards Musk's political stances. Apparently there was some people retweeting saying it was saying thinking and then going to find it doesn't have an answer. So what does the founder think of this, and then going along those lines. Privacy concerns were also can't speak today. Were also a hot topic given Grok's allegedly frequent reporting of sensitive information during prolonged interactions. Honestly, I don't remember what that one was. I can't remember anything specific about any privacy concerns or personal information that's getting shared out. Nonetheless, the broader tech community still sees Grok 4 as a significant milestone, with figures like Tim Sweeney from Epic Games hinting at it's dangerously close to AGI territory, albeit with caution around misinformation. Well, AGI is just a confusing term at the moment. No one knows what it means. Everything's almost AGI. AGI is almost around the corner, so I don't know where it's meant to be going or what it is. But it is way different than the other models. Some tweets that I saw, people were complaining that after a long conversation, it will get lost in context, which most other models do, but O3 doesn't from OpenAI. But it seems to be, in general, it's better than the other models in where it is and how it's performing. Gemini's new thinking loops workflow integration. Over at Google DeepMind, the big news this week was Gemini's innovations, particularly its new thinking cycle, which dynamically allocates extra compute loops at runtime. That sounds like a lot of garbage. What it's doing is I think it just forces itself to think again before it gives you an answer. It was fascinating to learn that Gemini leverages reinforcement learning during training stages to actively test hypotheses and decompose complex problems, a true game changer in AI development. Google also showed off Gemini's increased integration throughout the ecosystem, notably Google Meet, summarizing meetings effortlessly and automated task management through Google Workspace, truly streamlining productivity. Why am I having so much trouble? I don't think I've had enough coffee yet. A deep integration within the Google Office equivalent, so Google Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Meet, workspaces with Gemini is going to be a great thing. And from what I've been told anecdotally by people, it's much better integration than what Copilot is. And I can speak to Copilot being crap and not really working well. And then they lock you into a year of payment and they can't get you out of it because of their contractual obligations or whatever the bullshit they spin. But Gemini is meant to be really good with their integrations and it works really, really well. AI browsing evolves with Perplexity's Comet. This week was also the unveiling of Comet, Perplexity's newly announced AI native browser. Built as a fork of Chrome, Comet promises radically faster browsing speeds by performing tasks within a local environment. What caught my attention was Comet. I love this AI script, like it knows what I want to think and what attention it's grabbing. What caught my attention was Comet's emphasis on multi-agent tasking, like seamlessly managing Instacart orders or finding LinkedIn connections without cloud authentication headaches. With Perplexity and others like Grammarly, who just acquired email client Superhuman, pivoting to AI-driven productivity platforms, we seem poised toward a future of integrated multitask agent automation. So that browser was interesting because the person watching is like, they didn't understand the point of having AI running locally, accessing things in your browser. But then it sort of became apparent through their demo where you're already authenticated in all these services and the AI can do everything on your behalf through the browser and interact on those websites for you. So it's already logged into everything. You're already authenticated. So there's less headache to get things running and working compared to what there is when you go to a normal agent and then you're forced to authenticate to a specific website that is used once, then shut down. And if you go to do it again, you'll have to authenticate again. So it's a much easier workflow to get them running. Having them there in the tabs, I'm sure would be very useful. The way I work in my browser, as my team would know, I have 24 gig of freaking memory used in my browser just on open tabs. And when I'm doing research on Google, I open tab after tab after tab. I go deep into the Google pages, not first page results. I'm 2, 3, 4, 5 pages deep sometimes, maybe more. And I open multiple tabs and I have to skim them. If I could open them all up and it could summarize all the tabs and give me an answer, it's effectively doing what deep research does, but in your browser. But it could also interact with Amazon and purchase something, put in the cart and check out for me and do things like that. While that might be very expensive in the long term, if it starts ordering the wrong things and doesn't understand what you're doing, there is a lot of potential there. So I don't mind the idea where that's going. Context engineering revolutionizes AI agent performance. A fantastic deep dive into the context engineering showed me how managing context efficiently is now key to supercharging AI agent capabilities. I already knew that. I've been talking about context with what we've been building internally at Aerion and Deverity AI for a long time. We are trying to be the context to all code builders by designing your app first. Internally, whenever we have to build anything that's large language model powered, it's all about giving it the right context and providing the right information so you get the best outcome possible. Techniques like external scratch pads, selective memory retrieval, context compression, and isolation in multi-agent setups address the notoriously tricky problem of context overflow and confusion for AI tasks. So these things are important because when you're running agents, context get huge, there's a lot of tasks that run, and you may lose out on what your initial instructions were or key things that the agent has done along the way. So Scratchpad is a spot where it can write notes that's only available for that session. Memory allows it to then have memory so it can retrieve back after multiple different agents are run and it shuts down and spins up again, so it's persistent. The context compression is compressing the context to the key things that are useful so you can hand that off to the next step in the agent without giving it the broader flow. And then isolation in multi-agent setups is giving each agent its own context so then they don't share, so they can each do their own thing. These are important because we have limited context lengths with all our agents. And having limited context length means we need to learn how to work with them properly. Or you can go to like Gemini 2.0 and get 2 million input tokens. Not have to worry about that initially for now. But there is a lot of things like that. And eventually this won't be as much of a problem, but it still will be important to give the right context and summarize it into the key things rather than giving it every single thing possible and hoping it finds the key things. Tools like LangGraph and platforms such as Anthropic and Shopify highlight robust implementations of these engineering principles. Amazon, Anthropic's agent marketplace, and Nvidia's milestones. Another big announcement was Amazon partnering with Anthropic to launch an AI agent marketplace next week, aiming to offer customizable AI agents via AWS, together with Nvidia briefly surpassing $4 trillion market cap thanks to explosive demands. That's the first company ever to do that. And reacting smartly with export compliant chips for China. So they've got specific chips that are available for China. They're underpowered, lower modeled, and they're sort of becoming like a peacemaker between China and America in this sort of tech space, because they would still like to be sold there rather than having the local Chinese manufacturers take over and build their own chips. These moves hint at enormous enthusiasm and shifting geopolitical dynamics in the AI infrastructure space. So the Anthropic agent marketplace will allow you to, I'm guessing, buy and use agents that other people have created, so you can use them and benefit from their workflow, similar to the GPTs from ChatGPT, but it's agentic now. It's not just a chat. Kimi K2 emerges, China's powerful open source AI contender. Also impossible to ignore, apparently, was Kimi K2 launching as an open source AI giant, not an agent, from China, hitting a massive 1 trillion parameters. So apparently it's been trained on 1 trillion parameters. With jaw-dropping interactive simulations from planetary meteor defense systems to polished SaaS website outputs and impressive optimization methods like Muon Clip, Kimi K2 creates a robust challenge to proprietary platforms like GPT-4 and Google's Gemini. So this is like another DeepSeek moment. It's another giant open source model that can compare with GPT-4 and Gemini, and it's open source. My guess is they're making these open source models as good, if not better, than what's available in the market, simply because then they will take away dominance from the US players, show that the Chinese market can do it. They're open source, so everyone can get them, and sort of commoditizes the value. It sort of devalues those models then and what they're capable of, because it's an open source model that can do the same thing. The shifting internet, AI's impact on search and traffic. Lastly, I found the dramatic shift towards AI-powered zero-click searches as covered in one thought-provoking video. Publishers noted massive traffic drops leading antitrust pushbacks against platforms like Google. Moreover, premium subscription models for AI services averaging around $200 a month are emerging, transforming business landscape significantly. Honestly, no idea what's going on that search one, but traffic is dropping across the internet. Stack Overflow is a giant one that we used to use as developers, and that's dropped. Google searches, but AI searches would have increased, so there's still a lot of use going to those search services, so I'm not sure what's happening there. $200 a month is ChatGPT Pro or Plus. I've recently subscribed to that because I needed the deep research capability. Claude Code has a $200 a month plan. Cursor now has that, along with their completely stuffed up pricing and everything else that they've done. Hopefully I'll watch a few more videos on that this week and we'll talk about it next week, but that's been an interesting ride. Closing thoughts. Clearly, it's an explosive time for AI across reasoning, productivity workflows, browsing tech, global partnerships, and changing digital business models. With innovations coming at such rapid speeds this week felt particularly transformative, hinting at a future that's both exciting and needs careful watch for privacy and ethical considerations. Thank you for joining my weekly roundup. Let's catch up next week to see what else the AI world brings. So that's my AI generated script. I've peppered my thoughts throughout based on what's happened. I think this is a useful tool for me to begin with anyway, because it solidifies what I've learned and listened to across the week, and it allows me to then add my thoughts across, which re-solidifies my thinking. Similar to you writing down notes. It's a version of that where you remember things better. If you would like to see anything different or learn anything else about any of this stuff, let me know. Drop a line in the comments. I'd love some feedback on, are you getting any value out of these videos? Is it useful? Is this format okay? Otherwise, good luck keeping up with everything. Until next week.